In all of our rush and hurry to get to the next phase of life, to achieve our big dreams, and to finally experience what it is that we've been hoping for and wishing for and praying for, we're so ready to leave our past behind us. But oftentimes, there's another part of us that we end up leaving behind, or that can feel like we're leaving behind. And that's something that is older, although it doesn't seem to be, than we realize. And it's also necessary for us to bring this part of ourselves with us as we step into the new phase, into the new blessing, into the new opportunity, into the newness of what it is that we have been dreaming about, praying for, imagining, and manifesting. If you want to know more about how to bring this part of yourself with you, I've got a story to share with you that will really illumine so much about this. Come on, my friend, let's dig into the soil of this together. Welcome back to my channel. My name is D. Grant Smith. If you're new here, I am the growth farmer for personal development, or self-development, as I've also heard it phrased, through the lens of spirituality and storytelling. We're going to talk about both of those in today's video because all of us are in a constant state of transformation and growth. I've recently reread this very powerful book from Wayne Dyer, who talks about how the body that we are in is always changing. We are never in the same body. The body that we were born in, little baby us, changed, transformed, became toddler baby us, then became little kid baby us, or little kid us, and then adolescent us, and then teenage us, and then young adult us, and we can't go back to those old bodies. We're always in a state of change. But there is a part of us from those early years that we still need to be giving attention to and giving love to, because it has so much to do with our overall continued growth and transformation. And as we continue to get older, and our bodies continue to get older, and our mindsets and our psyches and our ways of thinking and going about doing things age, there's also a part of us that doesn't. There's a part of us that remains in that childlike state. And leaving that part of us behind and ignoring it is a fast way to end up with a lot of emotional turmoil, a lot of emotional pain, a lot of dysfunction in our relationships and elsewhere. And to illustrate that point, I want to share this story with you that I actually wrote this morning. It's called The Last Moment of Childhood. Here's the story. It had been coming for a while, though he didn't see it. He was racing in the direction of growth at an alarming rate. All he had wanted was the keys in his hands, bags packed up, and wave ta-ta to all of that old life. He smiled big and brightly. Freedom! No more curfews, no more being watched, no more having to do what other people said. He could keep his room as he wanted. He could never clean it if he chose not to. He didn't have to contribute anymore to lawn projects with mom and dad, or go with his younger siblings at Halloween to make sure that they were safe. Actually, he didn't mind that part so much. He adored his little sister, and he did tolerate his baby brother, who seemed to get away with making endless messes and whining all the time, stuff he never had that kind of grace with his parents with when he was a little kid. But oh well. This past Halloween had been the night of a huge surprise party that he was invited to, but he had to sneak off after he got back from trick-or-treating with his siblings just to go to this party. And he had gotten more than an earful when he came back home. The voices of his parents' anger at him still left a scar in his mind. What had he done that was so wrong? He was a good kid with good grades, and he had met every requirement for college plus scholarship. Surely they could relax a little bit and let him enjoy his senior year, he thought. He turned his head to look out the window at the bay. A bird stood on the pier and seemed to be watching him as he flew by in his Toyota. There was something about how the bird was looking at him as though it knew something or could see something that he couldn't. Oh well, he thought to himself. He pulled around a truck with a refrigerator strapped to the bed and pulling a trailer carrying various metal pipes of iron and aluminum. The old man driving the truck was going slower than Christmas. Man, maybe that's what happens when you get old, he thought. You go slow and you can't keep up with the times. That'll never be me, he said to himself with gusto and determination. 2 more hours to go and he would finally arrive. College, the new frontier. Sure, it still was school, but it was school with a lot more flexibility and opportunities to do what he wanted without having to have his parents' permission or them even knowing what he was doing. And with this transition in his mind, he was finally stepping into adulthood to take on this opportunity to strengthen his social and learning skills before fully stepping out on his own. But with all the rush and move into this new phase of life and the loudness of his car stereo blasting into his ears, he couldn't hear the gentle, soft whimpers and cries of the little boy inside who wasn't quite ready yet to leave the last moment of childhood. Now, when I was writing this story, I didn't see that ending coming, but it makes a lot of sense. I myself spent most of my life trying to get to the next phase. How about you? Were you really trying hard to go from teenage years into when you could turn 16 and drive as fast as humanly possible? Or like the guy in this story, were you trying to get out the door and off to college or off on your own and away from your parents as fast as you possibly could so you could decide how your life was going to be? I was. And all the while, there was this inner child inside of me that felt like I was running away from him, that I didn't care about the inner part of me that still wanted to be a kid, that still wanted to be playful, that still wanted to have fun, that still wanted to feel safe and protected, and that often didn't feel safe, didn't feel like everything was okay. And the adult part of me was reacting to so much in the outside world because I, in a lot of ways, was disconnected from my inner child. And one of the things about growing up is the process that we all go on where we learn how to re-parent ourselves. Because as loving and wonderful and awesome as my parents were to me and continue to be to me, there was still things about myself that needed healing and still things about myself that need healing. And that inner child healing is an ongoing process. But when there's a part of me that feels scared or feels nervous or feels like the world is going in a direction that I don't feel necessarily comfortable with, I have to remember that there's still a little kid me inside that doesn't want to be left behind and actually wants me to take it by the hand, take him by the hand, and say, "Come on, buddy, you're coming with me." This is important work for us to continue to do as we continue to grow into the best version of ourselves. Because as much as we want to step into the new and as much as we want to become better and leave old us behind, yes, we may be transitioning into a person and becoming a person who has not succumbed to fear or doubt or worry, and we're shedding that old skin. But remember, bring your little kid self with you because that childlike part of you is still an essential key component to who you are right now and who you are becoming, and a key part of your journey. It's the child in us that keeps us open to possibilities, that has this expansive, beautiful, creative imagination that says all things are possible. It's the godlike self in us. Realizing also from reading that Wayne Dyer book, Wishes Fulfilled, that the God self inside of all of us is very childlike, reminds me that this childlike part of myself, the inner child, is a connection that we have with God. And so nurturing that connection and strengthening that connection and not trying to leave the little kid part of us behind is really essential to us growth farming continually and planting and sowing and producing love in our inner garden. What do you think? Are you on board with continuing the process of loving your inner child today? I want to ask you to do two things. One, drop down in the comments and let me know, and also give this video a thumb up, but that's not the second thing. The second thing I want you to do is spend some time today being quiet, being still. Go within yourself. Picture the little kid version of you, your inner child. Give them a big hug. Thank them for being a part of your journey and remind them that they mean so much to you, that you love them so much, and you're so happy that they are with you every step along the way. You are not going to leave them behind. You're bringing them with you everywhere you go. And let that joy and that enthusiasm and that excitement and that expansiveness fill up your consciousness. Trust me, it's a wonderful, beautiful experience to have. I believe in you, I love you, and I invite you to come join me for more growth farming insights, advice, storytelling, on a whole lot of awesome stuff. Join into the community at growthfarming.com. I love you, I appreciate you, and I'll see you again soon.